Think about the last time you stood over a sink full of dirty dishes, watching your partner relax, and found yourself silently doing the math. That quiet surge of annoyance points to a reality we often try to ignore. We prefer to believe the societal myth that true love operates on a different plane, fueled entirely by vibes, selflessness, and unconditional devotion. But if love were truly unconditional, then the division of household labor wouldn't matter. We wouldn't feel that specific, sharp sting of resentment when we realize we're the ones doing the heavy lifting week after week. We've all heard that internal narrator, the one that starts keeping a tally of every favor, every chore, and every sacrifice, waiting for the other person to catch up. This friction over unequal effort reveals the truth. Beneath the romance and the poetry, we are all active participants in a hidden relational economy. Because our emotions react so strongly to these imbalances, we can see that relationships serve as the media in which value is transacted. When that exchange of value stops, the bond itself loses its functional foundation. If you are in a happy relationship, this might sound wrong. You don't wake up feeling like you're conducting business trades with your partner. That lack of a transactional feeling is actually the highest indicator of success. It simply means that right now you are getting a fair deal. When both people receive at least as much as they give, the trade becomes effortless. In a healthy relationship, the transaction is completely invisible. Consider your relationship with the power company. It is a strictly regulated exchange that functions almost entirely in the background of your life. As long as the automatic payments go out and the lights come on when you flip a switch, you give the exchange zero thought. The transaction is mutually beneficial and perfectly silent. But the moment the power goes out, you become hyper-aware of the deal. You suddenly remember exactly how much you pay each month and start questioning if the company is holding up their end of the bargain. Romantic partnerships follow this same logic. As long as both partners feel their needs are being met, the ledger remains comfortably hidden. The audit phase begins the moment one partner feels shortchanged. When you feel you are giving more than you receive, the transaction suddenly becomes glaringly visible. This is when we start meticulously tracking the data points. Who initiated sex, who paid for the groceries, and who spent more time listening to the other person's problems. This level of meticulous scorekeeping functions as an emergency alert system, signaling that the underlying trade has broken down. A power bill is easy to track because it's a simple trade of money for electricity. But relationships involve goods like affection and emotional support, values that fluctuate constantly and are rarely negotiated out loud. The complication is that human beings are biologically poorly equipped to account for this kind of abstract value. We are biased accountants. First, we overvalue our contributions. The effort we give inflates in our minds. Simultaneously, the value of what we receive shrinks. We undervalue our partner's effort. Combined, the math becomes disastrous. You end up with a mathematically false deficit, convinced you're being exploited. Because our mental accounting is rigged, any attempt to precisely audit a relationship will almost always convince you that you're getting a raw deal. Meticulously measuring the give and take guarantees a feeling of dissatisfaction. The more precisely you try to count, the colder the relationship begins to feel. Couples who maintain connections over decades use fuzzy math. They move away from tracking volatile daily metrics, viewing the exchange through a broad confidence interval. They don't demand a perfectly balanced ledger every day, knowing value shifts back and forth over time. To make this work, you have to consciously correct your biological biases. This starts by intentionally undervaluing your own contributions just a little bit. You must also choose to overvalue what your partner does for you. This creates a psychological buffer against the feeling of being shortchanged. Accepting the transactional reality of love doesn't ruin the romance. Understanding the economy of the relationship is actually what allows the emotional connection to survive. By hacking your biases and refusing to keep a ruthless score, you allow the transaction to fade back into the background, where it can function invisibly while you focus on the person you love.